Well, we know that one of these teams is going to come away with a win in week 6, the Broncos or the Chargers, but how is it going to get done? We're going to be breaking down keys to victory on this crossover Thursday edition, Locked On Broncos and Locked On Chargers. And want to say thank you one more time to all of you that make Locked On Broncos or Locked On Chargers your first listen of the day every single day. We appreciate you everydayers out there. And if you're just stumbling upon the show for the first time, hey, why don't you make us an everyday listen? Hit subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. David, I'm going to throw it to you. 3 keys to victory for the LA Chargers in this game as they look to improve to 3-2 coming out of the bye week.
Yeah, first and foremost, it's protect Justin Herbert. And some good news for the Chargers. Their all-pro left tackle, Rashawn Slater, did make his way back to practice today as we are recording this on a Wednesday. So that is fantastic news. The Chargers with Rashawn Slater at full strength, 2-0. Without Rashawn Slater, 0-2. So having Rashawn Slater back at practice and Joe Alt also back at practice, both those guys were unfortunately out for the last game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And, the Chargers did well to keep that game close, but having those guys in there to protect Justin Herbert, who's still, I'm sure, recovering from that ankle injury, is of paramount importance. And the pass block win rate for the Chargers has been atrocious. They've been 31st in the league. And as you mentioned before, the Broncos blitz more than anyone in the league besides the Vikings at 40.1% of the time. They're also 4th in the league in pressure percentage. If the Chargers can do a better job in pass protection, picking up the stunts and the blitzes, they will have a much better chance of winning in this football game. Second thing is keeping the Broncos under 100 yards rushing. This is a hard line. It's very important. The Broncos have had over 100 yards rushing in all 3 of their wins and have not eclipsed 100 yards in either of their losses. So controlling the running game and forcing Bo Nix to go out there and throw more than the Broncos want them to throw is definitely going to be the recipe for them. And then the last thing is avoiding the penalties. The Chargers have shot themselves in the foot, especially against the Kansas City Chiefs. They had 9 penalties against the Chiefs, and they are so killer. This is not an offense that can overcome 3rd and 10 plus. They're just not. They're not built that way. 3 third downs of 3rd and 14 plus against the Kansas City Chiefs. That is a recipe for disaster when you have an injured quarterback that's out there fighting for his life and trying to stay in the game and play for you. Denver defense will eat them alive if they do that this week. So they absolutely have to stay in those more manageable down and distance situations. That means cleaning up the pre-snap penalties, and hopefully they got those communication issues fixed during the bye week. That right there, to me, are the biggest keys to victory for the Chargers in this one.
And the Denver Broncos just want to do the opposite of all those things. No, we got 3 keys for the Denver Broncos here against the LA Chargers in week 6. Number 1, feed Javonte Williams. Number 2, limit the big plays defensively. And number 3, hit some shot plays offensively. So we talked about feeding Javonte Williams in segment 2, and we're talking about big storylines. Can the Broncos keep that running game going? As David mentioned, the Broncos have gone over 100 yards rushing in each of their last 3 games, all 3 of those games being victories. And we know when teams are running the ball well, they're probably running more plays. And if they're running more plays, they're probably controlling time of possession most of the time. So you want to be able to run the ball very well against a Chargers team that has been pretty stingy defensively. So if you can pick up yardage on the ground, gain yardage after contact, make this a physical game. That's what the Broncos want to do in this one. And then obviously defensively here, limit those big plays, because that's one area where the Broncos have struggled a little bit this season. We saw it with the big touchdown to Brock Bowers against the Raiders. We saw it with Amir Abdullah, or one of the running backs there for the Raiders, had a big run, a big chunk run that set them up in scoring range as well. And not only that, David, but the Broncos' top 3 corners, I mean, they're very good. Pat Surtain, Riley Moss, Jaquan McMillan, they're very, very good players. They have a combined 8 pass interference penalties called against them this season so far. So that could be dependent a little bit on the officiating crew at times, but also, teams have found out, like, these guys, they're grabby out there. They're physical. They want to make plays on the ball. So, hey, if you throw the ball deep and these guys make one wrong move, one false move, you might get yourself a flag that sets you up with a big play. So the Broncos need to limit those big plays defensively, but they also need to hit some shot plays on the offensive side. I said it before, but They've missed on a couple of them, especially against the Raiders with Troy Franklin. Should have had a long touchdown catch, just went right through his hands. And then there's been other times where, Bo Nix has thrown it just a little bit too far, missed his guy, or, things like that. Again, they've hit on some 20-plus yard plays, but man, if they can start connecting on some of these shot plays that are opening up, that the run game is helping open up for them, that is going to be a complete game changer for Bo Nix and this offense. So not just against the Chargers, but I think going forward, those are the big keys to victory for the Denver Broncos in this game.
Yeah, this one's going to be a physical one. We know the Chargers have not found a lot of success, and unfortunately, Justin Herbert has never won at Mile High. It's going to be a crazy environment. It's going to be raucous. It's going to be loud. It's going to be really tough on your body because you're going up in the elevation. So the conditioning is going to definitely play a part in this game. You got to have your best when your best is required. And that means in the fourth quarter, when a lot of these games in the NFL are decided, you got to have your best in those moments to be able to close out the game. So we will see who is going to be in their best form in the fourth quarter, because I feel very strongly that this game could go down to the wire.
Couple of former Oregon Ducks quarterbacks, as you and I were talking about off the camera a little earlier, as well as, Sean Payton, formerly rumored to be a head coach candidate for the Chargers, and Jim Harbaugh, I believe Broncos ownership went to his house in Ann Arbor, Michigan to interview him. So a lot of different dynamics at play in this game. I'm sure the TV crew, whoever's calling this game, is going to have a lot of fun nuggets for all of us watching the game at home.